Good morning, Mike Fisher here, 105.3 The Fan, The Fish in Oxnard. As you can see, early morning on the practice fields here on the Cowboys campus in Oxnard. We're getting the lawn mowed and we're getting the stories broken and broken down. Let's do this almost machine gun fish style, if you will. Let's start out with item. Ezekiel Elliott and Cabo, the story broken by our man Kevin Turner on 105.3 The Fan. And then it's really nice of all the other media outlets to confirm it. I knew I knew that was going to happen. That's no big. It's a big deal. It doesn't mean that that Zeke's staying in Cabo, and in fact, it's worth noting that Cabo is closer by plane to LAX than DFW is. So when his contract is done, if he's still in Cabo when it gets finished, he can zip right up here and get to work. The contract obviously is not close. They may be closer geographically, but they are not closer in terms of dollars and cents. Then there's the position of my colleague Jeffrey Kavanaugh, and RJ Choppy shares this position that they shouldn't pay Ezekiel Elliott gigantic money. They shouldn't pay him at all. The position of Jeffrey last night, as we were driving around lovely Oxnard, is that there's zero value in terms of wins and losses. Guys were arguing in the car about well, you know, this guy got 5 yards to carry in his place, so what's the difference? Hey, we stuck him in there, and he did the same thing, yards per carry or whatever. But what about wins, I said? How many wins does Ezekiel Elliott give you versus if you don't have him? And Jeffrey and Choppy's position is none. There's no difference. I just think that's outrageous. I understand that the game has changed. I understand that throwing the ball is now the centerpiece of almost everything. But as I've argued here, fine. Throw the ball to Zeke, because he's very difficult to cover, certainly for a linebacker, and very difficult to tackle for anybody. Then our man Sean Sharif chimes in and says, well, he supports the idea of paying Zeke at some level and keeping him, obviously, that he's not generational. I'm like, I don't know how many rushing titles you have to win before somebody considers you special. We will keep you posted on the Ezekiel Elliott thing. Meanwhile, item at his position, here comes Alfred Morris to drive his beat-up old junker into town. I think if this thing goes on long enough, he might take over as the number one running back on the roster. In the meantime, the guy who really caught your eye yesterday in the first padded practice here was the rookie Tony Pollard. And that's kind of predictable. We thought that his electricity might catch your eye. But what was also notable is the way I used him. There was movement, more pre-snap movement, and involved him at running back. Let's put him out of the backfield and in motion. Let's put him out in the slot as a wide receiver. Let's let him line up as a wide receiver even. And you'll see this as you pay more attention to camp and then when we get into the season. I think we thought on draft day that Tony Pollard was this scat back talented guy and therefore might be scat back in terms of size. He's a way bigger guy than you think. His legs are big. His arms are big. And he's thick enough to be, I don't know, 6'1", 215, something like that. So Tony Pollard may have something special here. Item. Let's go to the offensive line, where Tyron Smith was spectacular yesterday in his work against Robert Quinn. This is going to be one of the fun battles to watch here. Tyron won it yesterday. Travis Frederick took a Veterans Day off, by the way, at center. Item, the tight end. Blake Jarwin with a bullet as the number 2 guy is what we say. We had this argument this morning with Sean and RJ too. RJ's convinced that Jason Witten's going to start no matter what, and that Jason Witten's going to be an inferior option to Blake Jarwin. It's way too early to say that. That hasn't manifested itself on the field yet. The best tight end on this team right now is Jason Witten. And here's what I would suggest. Witten's job here is not just to be the starting tight end. His job here is to be a contributing tight end and then a contributing member of the roster as a guy that can help coach him up elsewhere. Jason Witten will know. He'll be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm not better than player X anymore. And he will not want to ceremonially start. The best player needs to start at tight end. Right now, that's Jason Witten. But if Blake Jarwin catches up with him and surpasses him, good for all. Wide receivers. Yesterday was a Randall Cobb Veterans Day off. So the jump out guy, Reggie Davis, the kid out of Georgia, third-year guy who's bounced around a little bit, had a diving catch in traffic. John Van Johnson and Jalen Guyton also with their moments, but again, no Cobb, so that allowed for more time, for more moments. Oh, and Amari Cooper's agent was here last night, as was Jamie Foxx. I did the big one-on-one exclusive with Jamie Foxx. We'll get you to find that here on my YouTube channel. One more great reason to subscribe, if you please. Like it and share it and subscribe. And then come see me on Facebook and Twitter as well, at Fish Sports. And I'm on Instagram, too. Quarterback, Dak Prescott. Some of the boys didn't like how often he threw to Witten. But otherwise, Dak Prescott continues to look sharp here. Go back to minicamp and OTAs. His very first day of OTAs, back inside the Star, he was not good. Ever since then, Dak Prescott throwing the football really has been good. Maybe the work with Tom House, maybe the work with Kitna, maybe the mental stuff with Kellen Moore all come together just in time for a guy who very soon is going to have himself a new contract that is $30 million plus APY. But as I've reported here, not necessarily 35. That might not necessarily even be the goal for the quarterback. To the defensive line, with all the defensive linemen, defensive ends out. Dorrance Armstrong got some time with the first team, and again, looks like a playmaker. We had a great conversation, one-on-one, exclusive with Tank Lawrence yesterday, and with Tyrone Crawford, visited with him too. Those two guys, after the morning session, obviously they're on pup, they put in more time with Britt Brown than anybody I think I've seen ever, and I've been covering NFL training camp since 1983, if you can believe it. They were out there forever. It was work till exhaustion. They had the John Deere, kind of the golf cart tractor out there, and then they take it out of gear and turn it off, and Mike Wojcik, strength coach, would be behind the wheel, and they'd push it. They'd push it 20 yards. Then Tank push it 20 yards. Then Tyrone would push it 20 yards. On and on and on this thing went into the noon hour and into the afternoon. They are putting in work. And then we had some fun with Tank. Tyrone Crawford, on the exhaustion issue, that's what I talked with him about. And then Tank Lawrence joking with me about his great quote of the week, don't ask me about another man's business, stay out of another man's business. And I had him, I set him up to say that to RJ Choppy, because Choppy keeps reporting that he swears he saw Tank Lawrence on the side of the road here in Oxnard a couple days ago in his Bentley buying blueberries. Bentleys and blueberries. And so I had Tank Lawrence burn Choppy on that today on 105 The Fan. Listen to the fan, you'll hear more of that. I hope you're hearing me okay with the tractor guys going. Jalen Smith, of course, one of my favorite guys to ever cover. He's just a delightful person. He's a medical miracle. He's a spiritual miracle. And yesterday, with Sean Lee having taken a Veterans Day off the day before, there was 3 linebackers on the field quite a bit yesterday, and I wonder if part of this isn't because it's Van Der Esch, Jalen, and Sean Lee. I think Jalen Smith as a pass rusher, something he loves to do. I think that's an important part of this defensive package going forward. And then finally, a conversation with Jeff Heath in the secondary. Have we covered all the position groups? I believe we have. Oh, Brett Maher was 5 for 6, kicking field goals. Jeff Heath was asked to reflect back on last year, and he said, yeah, we, against the Rams in the playoff game, and we got our butts kicked against the run. It's something we pride ourselves on. And then he kind of straddled the fence. He said, it's behind us, but we think about it. We don't dwell on it, but it's in our minds. And then he said, and we pledge to never let that happen again. Stay tuned for my Jamie Foxx one-on-one video. You'll get that only here with Fish Report. Come find us on 105.3 The Fan as well. And again, if you like real Cowboy coverage on the scene at whatever time, what time is it in the morning? 6 in the morning? I don't know. Then come get it here on 105.3 The Fan and with me, Mike Fisher. Fish out.